Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be getting really real with you on what it's like to live full-time on the road for the past 6 months in an RV and campgrounds all across the southeast US. From loneliness to racism and everything in between. We hope this video is very informative and gives you a new perspective on what it would be like to live life on the road.
We want to share the highs, we want to share the lows. It's not always been as picture perfect as other RVers sometimes make it seem, but we have learned a lot along the way and want to share it all with you. Who are we? Well, I'm Steven.
I'm David.
And we are Interracial Freedom.
Be you, be happy, be free.
If it's your first time here, we live in a Brinkley Model G 3250 and we travel the United States of America. Now let's get into some of this tea. Before we begin, make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you are privy to all of our videos when they come out. Starting from the beginning, we were overjoyed when we made the decision and everything came to fruition for us to live full-time on the road. As we said, we live in a Brinkley Model G 3250, which has been amazing. We love this home. It is wonderful. But we did have to leave our sticks and bricks home, which was maybe the first thing that hit a little hard. At first we were excited because we were getting on the road, but at the same time, I was leaving behind a sauna, I was leaving behind my indoor gym, I was leaving behind my backyard, I was leaving behind all the comforts of the appliances. I don't have a blender in here. My home.
Yeah, it was definitely difficult walking away from the house, or I guess selling away of the house. There definitely, when something is your first home, the home that we own together in our first house together, and you walk away from that to start this new adventure, there is a little piece of you that I think on like day 3 was like, yay, look at us, we're on the road. Hey, when do we get to go back to our big kitchen?
Yeah.
So that was definitely a learning curve, for sure.
All in all, we wouldn't trade this RV or this lifestyle for anything at this moment. We're enjoying ourselves. We do love it. But leaving your home and the comfort that it brings is a tough blow if you're not ready for it.
And one of the things that I don't think that we really thought through 100% was the loss of time from our friends and community. So we had a very tight network of very close friends in the New York City metro area that we would see and talk to all the time. And, out of sight, out of mind, right? So once we got kind of full-time on the road, not that those friendships have diminished in any way, but time spent has. And I think that's primarily because we don't have the ability of time necessarily to invest in some of those relationships either, right? So like before, Sundays were spent just sitting around the house or at brunches or at dance parties or at teas or whatever at the local bar. And now Sundays are travel day. So, that reallocation of time, I think, was something that we probably weren't 100% prepared for.
Yeah. And we've done a great job, and our friends have done an amazing job with maintaining our friendships. We FaceTime, we see them as much as possible. I just got back from a trip to New York where I was able to see some shows and have quality time with my best friends. We do make it work. We've been able to stay at Dave's sister's home for about a week. Twice. And that was a great experience to really have time with family, to have fun, eat, and cherish those moments together, because we do know as we get further west, we won't be with them all the time. So leaving friends and family and community behind can be difficult, but if you prepare yourselves and if you make sure that you maintain ways of communication and keep the lines open, it'll work out well for you.
Yeah, I think it is a proactive piece. You really do have to invest a little bit more effort, I will say, in this lifestyle to continue those connections, as ISIS has confirmed for me.
Yeah, she wants you to know, maintain them.
So somebody better maintain the food in my bowl is what somebody better maintain.
One of the most difficult things I've had to go through during this transition from living in our sticks and bricks home to full-time RV life is leaving my job behind. So if you don't know, I was a classroom teacher for 10 years in New York City public schools, and I had to leave that role to do this because I am not currently and did not see myself teaching remotely. That has been difficult because it has made me question my purpose and my motivation and what am I contributing to society at this moment. Teaching is such, I think, an honorable profession, and I felt like I was doing so much good with working with the students that I did, that now I have to find other ways to fulfill purpose and to fulfill my contribution to society.
On the other hand, I didn't have to share in that same experience because my job was remote when we were in New York, or primarily remote, let's say 95% of the time, and it still is. So I still work from the back of the RV, which we showed you in the previous video, and I still continue to travel as needed for work back to the Northeast, if you will, in the Mid-Atlantic to Northeast region. So overall, for me, nothing has really changed on that front. So that's, I guess, is a more of an impact to you than an impact to me, but something that we still share in the experience, right? So
yeah, RV life is very different from New York City.
Well, there's definitely no horns being blown or sirens from the fire trucks.
We
and
do hear
ambulances.
engines being revved up quite a lot, and other things, but yeah, it is very different. And I think for me, I've had to learn how to take a pause and just kind of enjoy the slowness and life's gentle pace, as opposed to New York, where it was a little bit on the grind, always on a subway, getting to work, working all day long, getting back, hustling and bustling. It felt like most of the time. Now it's a little bit more leisurely. So I am a country boy at heart. I grew up in the middle of nowhere, running through fields, jumping in swamps. I know, not today though. She's much different.
She grown.
But leaving country life behind to go to New York City and then experience this huge city life and now returning to it has been eye-opening and has actually given a lot of growth to my life, and I think yours as well. Yeah, I found a lot more peace. I found a lot more internal stillness, which I was missing a bit with the rat race that was going on in the city.
But now things might be just a little too still. We might need to review our travel schedule so that we're next to some partying metropolises.
Yeah. So we are not a political channel, and we are not going to dive deep into politics or people's beliefs, because as you know, we want you to be yourself. We want you to live your life to the fullest. We want you to be happy and just be free. That's really, really what we want for you and for ourselves. But as we were previously saying, leaving a city to this more calm and quiet life, you may not experience as much diversity as you would see in a city or a metropolis. And unfortunately, we have, or I guess specifically I have, encountered direct racism in some of the more remote places that we have stayed. Now, I will not name exact campgrounds that this happened at, but I'll give you an example of one campground in North Carolina. I was out for a jog one late morning, and a man on a golf cart who had an American flag hat on waved me down, and I smiled and I waved and I stopped. I took my AirPod out, and then he proceeded to tell me, "You better keep running before they catch you." At which point I cautiously laughed, placed my AirPod back in, and continued running back to the RV. There was another time at a campground in Florida where there is a gate that lets the cars in, and you, I think, are supposed to stop after the car before you goes. But one of the attendants the previous day had let me in right after the car before me, so I figured that I could go in again after the car before me, but the gate went down, and the woman walked over and she said, "You need to stop each time at this gate." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm sorry. Someone let me in after the car before yesterday." She said, "No, you have to stop." She let the gate up, I went through, and then she kept the gate up as the folks behind me followed through. And let's just say the folks behind me were white and I'm black. You can only see things as what they are sometimes. And those moments didn't feel so good or make me feel tall, which then leaving the comforts of a diverse community sometimes can be troubling as well. The diversity that you usually see in a city, people from many, many backgrounds, especially in a place like New York City, is not commonly found in campgrounds. And that means that most of the campgrounds that we go to, there are generally not a lot of Black people or Asian folks or any person of color, to be honest. So the diversity or the lack thereof is definitely felt as we travel through the United States. Another thing that we question, and it is a personal question, not to get too political, American flags. Now, we are Americans. We are proud to be Americans for sure. And I love this country and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. However, with the state of things, sometimes we question what an American flag means and if it is okay for us to talk to those people or if those people want nothing to do with us because of my race or because of us being gay. There are moments when we are walking around campgrounds and we give a gentle smile or a gentle hello and I've gotten nothing in return, not even a smirk. That lets me know right away maybe the type of person you are, and you could be just having a bad day, but at the same time it tells me, oh, you don't want to chat. And going back to my encounter with the man on the golf cart, if you remember, he had on a hat that had the American flag, which we believe should represent freedom for all, yet a comment like "you better keep running or they're going to catch you" with an American flag hat makes it a bit confusing of what the flag really stands for at this moment.
Yeah, and I go a little step further into that, just a touch, because the reality is just to that point, right? I mean, I do think that all flags are just a bit silly, to be honest with you, no matter what's on it. But like with the American flag specifically, they are like in a abundance in most campgrounds. As soon as a lot of people set up their camp, the first thing they do is get their flags flying in the air. And I think it's the part that just unsettles us a little bit, and is that, you know, if you have a, let's say, a Let's Go Brandon sticker or even an F Trump sticker on your car, and then you're branding yourself with this big, huge American flag. At the end of the day, if you want our president, whoever that person may be, to just completely fail, that's not very patriotic, right? So you may not agree with that person's policies, but if you're not supporting at all the person that's there, or you at least want them to do a good job, even if you don't like them at all, then you're not being very patriotic. So it's a little bit of a mixed signal on what that flag even means and what it stands for these days in this political world. For our military friends and family and everyone who has served, we definitely honor and salute you. Thank you for your, your ability to step up when duty called. And we get it if you're in the military. But for everybody else, I think we can calm down on the American flags being flown everywhere, specifically when also they're flown with other things, such as the anti-Republican or anti-Democrat or anti-anything political, because then it starts to blur the lines on what that flag really means, I think.
Yeah. Whew. Hot topics.
We told you we might ruffle a feather or two. We hope not, but this is real life. This is what we are experiencing for the most of the Eastern Seaboard and the Southern U.S. This is what our experiences have been.
Yeah, they may not be the same as everyone else's, and that's okay. We are definitely not saying that every single person who is not of color is bad. By no means do we believe that, because I'm married to this white fellow. We're not calling anybody out to say you should do this. We're just stating the facts of our reality, and the facts of your reality may be different. And we hope that the facts of your reality are happy and joyous. Mm-hmm. I want you to have the most happy and joyous life you can have while being free. Now, gay campgrounds or gay
at a campground.
At a campground, both of which we've not had trouble with, surprisingly. What's caused, I think, the most friction with traveling thus far is the color of my skin, as opposed to who I have decided to spend my life with.
Because it's not a big secret, right? I mean, for anybody who's ever stayed in campgrounds, by the way, and those who do camp, who know exactly what I'm talking about when I say this, everybody watches everybody get out and back into spots, right? It's kind of like the thing, and probably deep down you want them to fail just so you can watch a little longer or struggle to get in backing into a site. But everybody does it, ourselves included, right? So when we pull up to a campground and we get out to park, they clearly see whether Steven's driving and I'm guiding him in, or I'm driving, he's guiding me in, is two men, right? It doesn't take, we're in a 400 square foot space. It's two guys. There's clearly not 2, 3, 4, 5 bedrooms in this unit. They get it, right? We don't have to say that we're gay. People just automatically assume anyway, right? But to that point, we really haven't gotten any negativity from that front, on the gay front, at least not in person. Now, what they're saying to their friends around the bonfire behind our backs could be completely different, but there's no blatantly in your face derogatory comments, vandalism, anything of that nature. And to the most part, I will say that some of the most unexpected campgrounds have provided people coming up and engaging in conversation. So the ones that we really thought, okay, we are definitely the only gay couple here. And by the way, it also doesn't help sometimes in some of these campgrounds when you pull in the newest model RV, whatever that may be. Ours is a Brinkley, which is a new line, a year and a half, 2 years old, but our model's brand new. But whether or not you're in a brand new motorhome that just came out by, Privas or something like that, you become the talk of the campground anyway. Yeah. So the fact that we really haven't had any negative commentary or experiences around the gay issue, I think has been very positive. Now, online on this channel, we get a lot of gay hate, and that just is what it is. But in real life, face-to-face, eyeball to eyeball, it really hasn't been an issue for us. Now, some of the gay negativity that we have received is on this channel. And like most social media, I think we did anticipate a little bit of it. But just be mindful that, there's like 7 trillion videos on YouTube. If you don't like us or our content or the education and stories that we're bringing to, let's say, the gay or the RV camping community, it's very easy to just take your finger and keep right on scrolling. I mean, that's what I do when I see things I don't want to watch. There's no need to take time and effort out of your day to try to rain on someone else's parade. Keep your misery in your own house, boo. So just like booking any vacation, some things are hit or miss, right? So sometimes you may book a hotel, it turns out to be a real dump or something, even though the pictures online look beautiful, because let's be honest, they were taken right after it opened 12 years ago. Looks much different now. The same is similar in campgrounds. So we make a lot of bookings based kind of like on our own travel, I kind of say like our travel mottos, if you will. So for instance, we don't like driving over 3.5 hours. Hard stop. I don't care if that's 2 miles or 200 miles. We don't like driving over 3.5 hours. So that's how we keep our travel schedule, is always to be under 3.5 hours. So then that will limit us in our circle as to what campgrounds we choose. And it is hit or miss. But I will say out of all of the campgrounds we've stayed at, there have been some really incredible nice ones. And I will call them out. Creek Fire in Georgia is a spectacular facility. It's outside of Savannah by about 25, 30 minutes. If you have the option to stay there, do so. It is awesome. To the point, which by the way, I always have to say this because it even amazed me. They have in their pool, they have a lazy river around their whole rec area that you can like sit in a float and float around. So that'll tell you how much money they've invested. And then I would even say things like we did a video on Yacht Haven RV Park in Fort Lauderdale, also another great choice. So we've really stayed at some places that are, I guess you could say, and we just left Lakeshore. So we stayed at some place with like covered RV sites. So we've stayed at like some bougie places, I guess you would call it, or uppity places, more on the expensive high-end scale. And then we've also run into some places that should have closed 10 years ago. There's a couple that we have left. And by the way, the one thing though that I love that we do support about each other in this journey is that if we are 100% uncomfortable and want to go, the other one doesn't argue, right? We just get up, do what we got to do to get out, because we want to be comfortable together as a couple. So there have been some, when some of those issues that happened with Stephen, they spoke about earlier with racism, while bad and horrible and should never be in society, it never got to a threshold where he was like, hey, Dave, I want to leave. But me, personally, We've been at 2 campgrounds that we've checked into that I looked over at him and said, we're leaving. We have to go. And without a moment of hesitation, he immediately supported me and we rebooked somewhere else. So the reason why we ended up at Yacht Haven is because we stayed at another campground in Fort Lauderdale, an Encore campground that was horrible. Horrible. Sites, ants everywhere. Pretty much, I think 95% of the entire property were full-time residents, which is always a little weird when you're the transient traveler that comes into town anyway. So we cut our trip, our 2-week stay there short. We did not return back to that campground. And then a campground that we just left before we went to Lakeshore outside of Dallas was a Thousand Trails Twanakee campground, Twanakee Lake campground. I can't even describe to you how bad it was. The asphalt that used to line these beautiful roads to this campground were probably poured 25, 30 years ago and have all crumbled and fallen apart. They've done nothing to maintain the roads. Every RV, motor home, and I saw some really nice, like $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 motor homes pull in on that first, second day that we were there. And the whole unit is just hitting these giant potholes and rocking back and forth, breaking dishes and whatever's going on inside their home. That the recreational centers have not been cleaned or maintained in weeks. Bugs, cobwebs, just filth and grime everywhere, high humidity, mold growth. There was an adult only pool with a hot tub. There were so many leaves in this pool, you couldn't have swam in it if you wanted to. We did not venture to the other side of the campground where the family pool is, where kids are allowed. But the fact that they just don't maintain this facility at all. We, again, had a 2-week reservation there through our Thousand Trails membership, canceled, left after 5 days. Because of my work schedule, we couldn't leave any earlier, or trust me, we would have. We got out of there quick. I do say that if there's some things that need to happen in campgrounds around the Americas, if you will, it is maybe hopefully getting to some level of consistency where we could rate them like hotels. Hey, this one's 2-star, this is 3-star, this is 4-star, so that we do. Because reviews sometimes are subjective, and we don't always agree with people's reviews. What you may not like at a campground, we may enjoy, and vice versa, right? So, but I do think that we need to get down to the nuts and bolts and rating them on how well they're maintained and managed.
Dave gave a clear understanding of the ups and downs of campgrounds. And the only big complaint that I have is dogs off leash. Now, we have a cat, we have Isis, and she does enjoy being outside. And every now and again, I like to put her on her leash and take her for a little walk around the RV. But even that is impossible when we've seen dogs just running amok all about the campground, and owners just sitting back having a good old time. Now, everyone knows this is not something that should be done. Anything could happen. That dog could attack someone, and then you just have fisticuffs in the campground. And we don't want that, right? And that's the last thing we want is fisticuffs. So make sure that your dog is on leash if you are not doing that. But that would be the, I think, last thing that I've seen the most within multiple campgrounds that bothers me. And that's not necessarily something to do with the campground themselves as much as the people.
And the dog is left outside in one of those little campsite pens and it's barking. It is still your dog, by the way. So you can go outside and get it. And another big challenge that we've experienced on the road is just receiving mail. It is a challenge regardless of the mail service that you choose, or when you purchase things online, there's a chance that because we're only here for a short time, the mail's delayed, the shipment's delayed, we don't receive our package, and I think we've canceled 7, 8, 9 online orders so far in the past 6 months.
So please make sure that you check back next week, because next week's video will be about the mail forwarding service that we use, which also provided us with our address and all the ins and outs that you need to know about mail when choosing this full-time RV lifestyle. Overall, full-time RV life is a lot of fun. Now, there have been some down and out times, some depression a little bit of staying in bed too long, but there has also been a lot of fun. A lot of bike rides, a lot of hiking, a lot of seeing new places, new cities, new countrysides that we would have never been able to explore if we would have remained in New York City.
But I will say one of the things that we are most excited about as we continue our on the road lifestyle is getting out west. I know that Stephen and I just absolutely cannot wait to get on the other side of the Mississippi River.
Hopefully this video has helped you understand a little bit more about the ups and downs that full-time RV life can be for you, depending on your situation and the type of life you want to lead out on the road. Now, as we said before, it's different for everybody. Our life, our experiences, our truth is ours to have. And in no way do we want to offend anyone or make you feel less than. So I hope that you remember that as you get ready to comment on this video. All right? So we'll see you next week for another video. Until then, bye.
Bye, y'all.